Happy New Year and welcome back to another episode of the Silvie Celiz Truth. Today we're going to talk about the one thing that will help you to lead your entire year and life itself. The one question that you're going to ask yourself, that I've asked myself, instead of making goals I usually work with intention. That's kind of a basic for me. But when it comes to, New Year 2023, the one question that I ask myself and that I ask you or invite you to ask yourself is, dun, 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 how do I want to feel? How do I want to feel every single day of my life? Because it's really all about feelings. It's all about how you feel. The feeling that you have, you are driven by these feelings. If you can manage to call in on demand how you want to feel, what would you do every day? What would you need to chuck that is in the way of igniting the feeling that you want to feel? Because a lot of times, and I would say most times, the way people are designing their life and the way that they are looking at desire is really based on what they want to feel. So instead of going for, this is what I want, you want that because you want to feel something. So let's cut the middleman out and go straight to the source. Source is truth. Source is truth. So we get to the bottom of the truth of how we feel and how we want to feel every day. Then do we actually need to spend our time doing all the things that we think we need to do in order to get this and that and that and this in order to finally feel the way we want to feel? So let's deconstruct it. And instead of saying, well, these are my goals or my intentions to manifest this or get that or whatever, backtrack, deconstruct it, and say, well, how do I want to feel? What do I want to feel like every day of my life? In my relationship, in my body, just how I feel with my body, just all around. Like, how do I want to feel? What lights me up? What turns me on? All of those things I feel that are way more important to tackle, to address, to focus on. And then once you know that feeling, you know the answer to that, then you go to, well, what in this department, that department, in relationship, in my marriage, in my career, in my parenting, in my environment, in my life, whatever it is, everything. What about every single area of my life is in alignment to generating that feeling, supporting and encouraging me, cultivating, nurturing me into feeling that way? And what, including friends, by the way, or whoever's in your life, what is in opposition, creating blocks that don't allow me to feel the way that I actually desire to feel, that I want to feel like, in a healthy way, in an empowered way, in a way that serves my consciousness growth and that of the whole, meaning of my families, the world, and evolution itself. You don't need to do that much. You just need to ask the right question. You just have to do the thing that will tackle the source of things that projects reality, that projects your reality in every way. In fact, let's go into intuition with this. And this is where flow state comes in. It's effortless. It's effortless. When we are navigating life through intuitive space to get the leads and the answers to our questions, okay? Because also, as I was talking to my family, I think it was like a day before New Year's Eve, and I was saying that, well, once we've identified some of the things that we want to go for, some of the things that we want to collapse into reality, some of the things we want to experience, well, let's go ahead and plan some things out. Let's plan some things out. Let's structure some things in so that everybody gets what they need, and we do it in harmony with each other, in a beautiful dance, sort of a flow with each other that supports everybody's individual growth. Now, we do this planning, this sort of structuring with the intellect. Okay, this is where the intellect is very powerful. And I was just telling my son and my husband that once we do this plan, this structuring, this sort of analytical assessment, organizational situation, we put it to bed, the intellect. We just shut it down. We did it. We used it for what we needed. Boom, we shut it down. And then we go into intuitive space, to live out of intuitive space. Then we start to be led into our lives at the highest of the most efficient, effortless path of least resistance for ourselves, which is why it becomes effortlessly and efficient, because it is the path of least resistance. And this path of least resistance is when you are in the flow of life in intuitive space. In intuitive space, because you are going to receive, you open yourself up to receive, you're going to receive the guidance. You get the leads in intuitive space on whether it's, shifting some things around, what needs to be shifted, what are the key elements that need to be shifted within ourselves, to then make the shifts also outside in the environment. And when I say within ourselves, I'm talking about two spaces. I'm talking about the core of who we are, which is consciousness. And then I'm talking about with our avatar, a physical body, pretty much. So why do we have to address them separately? Because they both have different qualities and needs. So the body is we're symbiotic relationship, but the body is an independent electrochemical sort of system that deals with a lot of effects of consciousness. However, once we have to deal with whatever's going on in the body, we have to deal with both. So I have to take care of both what's going on in my consciousness, in my data stream, getting rid of my fears, building more emotional intelligence, all of these things, as well as taking care of what's going on in my body in order to work at my highest, in order to experience the totality of what I'm capable of experiencing within my own potential. So all of this is a dance, all of these things. This is like basic stuff. And then we go into creating from a place of being optimal, creating from a place of grounding, right? Creating from a place of feeling like whatever you want to accomplish or you want to experience is 100% like you've got this. Like you know what to do and how to flow in a very effortless, efficient way, in your own way, because let me tell you, everyone is pretty much selling like this is what you need to do. There's a few things that you need to do in order to get to your own story, in order to get to your own most optimal way of doing things. This is a very unique thing. Like you got to figure out what that is for you. You have to redefine success for you. I'm unfolding as I grow. I'm getting to know myself on deeper levels. And I'm like, oh, that's why this, and that. That's why this happens to me all the time. This is why I feel like this. And so this gives me little clues about how to approach myself, like myself, me and I relationship, right? Consciousness and the avatar relationship with the universe and this entire game we called life. How do I approach life from this individual storyline that I have going on with this individual unique avatar that I have in consciousness and path and expression, and this unique expression. We all have different expressions. And even if we're in a similar path, still the combinations are so endless and limitless that there's so many different combinations. There's a difference. Everybody has a different hue. It's like the Pantone colors. How many shades of blue or green or red are there, or purple? I mean, it's beautiful. When you look at it, there's so many. And it's not about this is the best shade. No, it's about which shade lights me up. Which shade turns me on? Like, which shade does it for me? That's what you got to find out. That is your task. And this task, you don't do it alone either, which is what I love the most. This is where you build this relationship with Source, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, and you play together. And you don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to have all the answers. This is where intuitive space is the best. Just be open to receiving the guidance. Be led. Be led. And then once you get the guidance, you execute. You execute. And this is really interesting for me because, for example, I was diagnosed with ADHD, a hyperactive, and dyslexia. This is in high school. No, in college. And supposedly I'm like a genius at this, genius level at this. And then in the same thing, I'm like third grade level. And I find that really interesting. So for me, the way that I interpret that information is I just focus on the genius level. Well, what can I do with that genius side of myself? How do I develop what I've got that actually excels in me, right? Like a really big potential that I can use. And how can I use it to serve others? How can I use it to align myself with the highest version of myself and express it? Because it's really about expression. It's about connection. You want to connect with someone, with yourself, with Source, with your partner, with your children. And you also want to express the core of who you are. It feels so good. It feels so good to do that. And there are multiple ways of doing that. It depends on you. It depends on what it is for you. And nobody will have the answer for you other than you. No one's going to have the answer. No one. Which is why developing intuitive space and getting to know you, discovering all the deepest sides, all of you, is extremely important. The more you connect with yourself on an authentic core of your being level and accept all of yourself, the more you could do that for others. The more you can do that for others. So going back to the beginning, super important, asking yourself, how do I want to feel? How do I want to feel? And once you get the answer of how you want to feel, then you go from there. Well, what in all of these areas in my life can I bring forth or take away that will support me feeling this way? Once you know that, one of the most important things when you're in relationship is to communicate it effectively. This really works because it's the feeling that is going to propel, that is going to project and materialize the experience, the feeling, which is why fear is transmuted or faced in intuitive space, because you have to feel it. And if you don't get rid of the fear, right, you stay stuck in operating from that fear, making choices that are fear-based. So in order to release it, you've got to feel it. It's so important to feel. Like I said, everything is really coming from a feeling. Like how do you feel right now? How you want to feel? What feeling you want to call in? And this is so important. That's why it's just like it really comes from there. It's so basic. If we start to develop the feeling space, which is intuitive space, because the language is feelings, right? What would your life look like? What would your relationship look like? And this is what I'm telling you. Asking this particular question actually completely shifts the way that you go about setting new intentions for the things you want to experience or materialize, whatever, if you want to call it, the goals you want to reach. It really comes from understanding and knowing what you feel, what you're not feeling, what you want to feel, what feelings you need to actually face and feel in order to process them and to release them, in order to be able to call in the feelings that you want to feel all the time and that you love and that it feels so good. It's such a dual situation, meaning that in order to feel so good, we also have to be willing and have the resilience and the capacity to hold in all the feelings, to feel all the feelings that don't feel so good as well. Because they all have a purpose. They all serve they have a message. They serve us in many ways. The ones that don't feel so good, they have something to say. And we have to feel them in order to process them and extract the wisdom that is coming from letting go of it. And then having enough sort of bandwidth and receptiveness and openness and vulnerability and willingness to hold and call in all of the feelings that do feel great, that don't require anything but you feeling it. And maybe music, maybe a sunset, maybe a walk in nature, things like that, things that really you are experiencing. There's nothing that you're ingesting to feel. No, it's just experiencing the environment, the vibrations and the frequencies in the environment that naturally is provided or produced, and interacting with those to resonate, right? To vibrate, to oscillate those frequencies, those vibrations that are deep within you, that are deeply buried or dormant within yourself. And then once they get activated or awaken, it's like you just got lit up. It's like you feel so alive, and that feels so good. And that's what it's all about. And that's where we want to go. And that's what we're truly seeking. All right. So I hope you extracted the gold nuggets in this episode and are looking forward to the next episodes. Anyways, this is awesome. I'm super excited about this year. I'm super excited about the offers that are coming. I'm super excited about working with whoever I'm meant to activate and expand consciousness. The consciousness of anyone who is ready to expand, who is ready to go to the next level of themselves, who wants to embody more love and project a more love-based world with me. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, whichever one is your preference, because you could do both. And I will see you next time.